In this lesson, we'll modify page-specific elements in a layout such as line numbers, box lines, timestamps, top and bottom margins, and characters per inch. First, I'll open the layout we created in the previous lesson. There are a couple of ways to open a layout. I can click the Layout button on the function bar, and then select the layout I want to open, or I can click File, Open, Layout, and then select the layout I want to open, or I can double-click the System Files case, then double-click the Layouts case, and then double-click the layout I want to open. Next, I'll select the Page Setup pane, either by clicking the right arrow at the top of the pane, or by clicking the down arrow and selecting Page Setup from the drop-down list. The first group of items in Page Setup are the settings for line numbers, position, frequency, format, number of transcript lines per page, and line number font. There are two ways to set the position of line numbers. One method is to use the same techniques that you learned for items in paragraph setup. You can measure the position of the line numbers on a page of transcript and then type that value into this field. The other method is to click and drag the slider corresponding to line number position on the ruler bar. I can click and drag this slider to the position where I want my line numbers. Notice that once I move the line numbers in this way, the number for the position fills itself in. I do want line numbers for every line in my transcript text versus no line numbers or having line numbers every 5th line or every 10th line, so I'll select every line. I prefer my lines to be numbered with standard digits 1, 2, 3 as opposed to letters or Roman numerals, so I'll click 1, 2, 3. I use 25 lines per page, so I'll leave this set at 25. If I used more or fewer lines per page, I would set the exact number of lines per page in this field. Here, I can select the font style, type, and size. I prefer my line numbers to look the same as the rest of my text, so I'll leave the default settings here. The next group of items is paper size and the top and bottom margins. My options for page size are letter, legal, A4, or other. If I select other, I can specify the exact width and height of the paper I use. I use a standard 8.5 by 11 inch letter size paper for a page of transcript, so I'll select letter. As with my line numbers, there are two different ways I can set my top and bottom margins. After measuring their position from the top edge of my transcript page, I can either type the values into the fields here, or I can drag the slider for the margins shown on the ruler bar on the left side. As with line numbers, if I click and drag the margins to a new position, the value of the position fills itself in. Next, I need to indicate whether I should impose a strict number of characters per inch, which dictates how many characters can fit on a line. Some jurisdictions have strict requirements specifying that there must be 9 characters per inch or 10 characters. If you have this requirement, you can select this option and set the value here. The timestamps options are very similar to the options for line numbers. Once again, I can set the position either by typing a value or by clicking and dragging the associated slider on the ruler bar. Separator refers to the punctuation used between the hours, minutes, and seconds. In the United States, the preferred separator is a colon. In some other parts of the world, a period is the preferred symbol. You can enter any symbol you prefer. I prefer my timestamps to show on every line, so I'll select every line from these 5 options. I prefer to show hours, minutes, and seconds in a 12-hour clock format with an AM or PM, so I'll select this option. I also prefer my timestamps to print in a smaller size font than the rest of my text, and that option is set here. Last, I need to set the style, position, and thickness for each of the 4 lines, left, right, top, and bottom, that make up the box that prints around my transcript text. Under Style for each line, I can select whether I want no lines, 1 line, or 2 lines. I want 1 line on each side, so I'll leave all 4 of these styles set at 1 line. At Position, I can type the measurement for the position of each line, or, once again, I can use the sliders on the ruler bar to adjust the position of the box lines. If any of the lines seem too light or thin, I can increase the numbers set for thickness. If any of the lines seem too thick or too dark, I can decrease the numbers set for the thickness. Now let's apply these changes by clicking Apply. That's it. My layout is looking very close to what it should look like. The only thing left to do is to set up the headers and footers, and we'll do that in the next lesson. For now, I'll save the changes I've made to my layout by right-clicking the Function tab and selecting Save. You're ready to practice modifying the values for page setup in a layout. Go into the Training User and follow the directions for Exercise 3 in the Layout Practice document. Then, proceed with the next lesson in order.